ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते रोमपदस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने. So we are continuing reading the book Nectarean Ocean of the Holy Name. So far we have completed a couple of questions from page 168 and 169. So now we are in page 170. So the turning the mind towards the holy name. So the question is, it is very difficult to control the functions of the mind, thinking, feeling, and willing. Do we have to turn off these functions while chanting, or can the mind still be engaged in Krishna's service? Answer: Maharaj gave very clearly here. It is most important to concentrate the mind on one point, one activity. Thus, instead of thinking, feeling, and willing, the mind should simply be focused on the holy name while chanting. Then only the mind is engaged in the service of chanting. There are also some useful mechanical means. 1. Chant at a time free of disturbance, preferably early in the morning. In order to calm down, breathe deeply before chanting. The bodily position influences the mind. Therefore, chant sitting in an upright position. And last one, before chanting, surrender to the Lord in the mind. The following prayer is very much appropriate. Kayena vacha manasendriyerva buddhyatma va vanustuta svabhavat karoti yat yat sakalam parasmai narayaneti samarpayat. Whatever I have done with my body, said with my words, thought with my mind, perceived with my senses, or comprehended with my intelligence, I offer it to the Supreme Lord Narayana. Srimad Bhagavatam, level 236. Next one. Write down and look at the mantra from time to time. Number 6. Display pictures of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates, Sri Radha, Krishna, and the spiritual master. Number 7. Chant in the right association, best in the association of the spiritual master. This is even possible in a lonely place. After a certain time of spiritual progress, Krishna's different qualities will automatically reveal themselves in our mind when chanting. First, the holy name of the Lord appears, then the form, then the qualities, and finally is Leelas. Jai. Up next one, appreciating the holy name. Question: what is the reason if one becomes repeatedly inattentive, in spite of having heard again and again about the necessity of attentive chanting? Answer is: the primary reason is forgetting to listen attentively at the moment of chanting. Therefore, one cannot fully appreciate the holy name. In order to avoid this, Srila Prabhupada recommends to recite the following two verses before chanting because they place us in the right frame of mind. నిఖిలశ్రుతి మౌలి రత్నమాల ద్యూతి నిరాజిత పాద పంకజంత అయి ముక్తాకులే ఉపశ్యమానం పరితస్త్వం హరినామ సంశయామి. This is the first verse of the Srila Rupa Goswami's Sri Krishna Namashtaka. It states that the tips of the toes of the lotus feet of the holy name are constantly worshipped by the glittering chain of jewel known as the Upanishads, and that the holy name is loved by all liberated souls. The second verse is spoken by King Parikshit. Nivrittatarshir upagiya manad bhavo sadauch chotra mano biramad ka uttama shloka gunanuvadat puman virajayeta vinapasugant. Glorification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is performed in the Parampara system. That is, it is conveyed from spiritual master to disciple. Such a glorification is relished by those no longer interested in the false, temporary glorification of this cosmic manifestation. Descriptions of the Lord are the right medicine for the conditional soul undergoing repeated birth and death. Therefore, who will cease hearing such a glorification of the Lord except a butcher or one who is killing his own self? Srimad Bhagavatam 10:1-4. In other words, only those persons who are no longer interested in their own praise or in the glorification of the material world can glorify the holy name. These two verses draw our attention to the extraordinary nature of the holy name and help us to remain attentive while chanting. I would like to offer a further means in this connection, which helped me personally again and again. I often say to myself that the Lord is present in three forms in the material world, as the deity, as the holy name, and sometimes directly as an avatara. Among these three forms, the holy name is the most merciful, and while chanting, I have the possibility to associate with the Lord directly in this form. Jai. By meditating in this way, I cannot stay indifferent or inattentive while chanting because, after all, I am aware that at this time I am associating with Krishna. This meditation helps me a great deal. Ultimately, each one of us has to find the most effective method for ourselves. In any case, it is advisable to begin with a short meditation on chanting, for if one thoughtlessly jumps right into action, the mind will easily drift away due to not being fixed properly. But if one has become aware of the importance of chanting, then it is easier to gain proper respect and undertake a greater effort to overcome inattention. So, next, third one, avoiding offenses.
I think,
Leaving a
yes, okay, good.
Yes, bro. Avoiding offenses, living a positive spiritual life. Question: how can offenses be avoided? Answer: in order to become free from offenses, one should ultimately begin to lead a positive spiritual life. One who is always afraid of committing offenses, thus continuously meditating on them, will not really advance in chanting. The following story illustrates this point. In a forest, a millipede could dance wonderfully. A toad that was observing its dancing became envious and decided to stop the millipede. However, she did not want to just come along and clumsily trample him down, so she convinced of a devious plan. The toad wrote a letter to the millipede. My dear millipede, you are certainly the best dancer in the entire forest, and in your dancing, all the fine arts of the whole universe are reflected. I have, however, a question. When you are dancing, do you lift first the 52nd foot and then shift to the other side with the 56th foot? Or do you begin by softly rolling your 200th foot and then go back to the 100th and 50th foot? How exactly do you perform your dance? This is my question. Yours sincerely, the toad from the bog. The millipede read the letter carefully, and the next time when he came to the dancing place where all the forest animals had already gathered, he became embraced. Instead of just dancing as usual, he thought, do I start with the 52nd foot or do I roll slowly from the 200th foot ahead? How do I exactly perform my dancing? As he was fully entangled in his thoughts, he could not dance anymore. He began to stagger and to stumble. What is the matter? Asked the forest animals in amazement. The toad had attained her objective. What actually was the matter is called paralysis through analysis. Being paralyzed by thinking too much, one who is continuously absorbed in various thoughts, always living with the fear to commit offenses, will not be able to chant properly. This principle, by the way, affects the entire life. To be always afraid of negative things, thus meditating on all kinds of possible mistakes, makes it very difficult to follow the path of Krishna consciousness. The injunction is think of Krishna, only that will bring us out of Maya. Therefore, it is essential for every devotee to live a positive spiritual life beyond the constant anxiety of how to avoid offenses. The best is to reverse the offenses and consider them in a positive light. For instance, instead of constantly thinking of how to avoid blaspheming Vaishnavas, we should develop high appreciation for them and serve them. Instead of only theoretically accepting the holy name is as identical with Krishna and as the Supreme, we should always chant with great joy and devotion. Instead of meditating on not being able to follow the orders of the Guru, we should recognize the Guru as our best friend and appreciate how nice it is to surrender our lives to him. Referring to the fourth offense, it is not enough to just avoid defiling the Vedic scriptures. We should rather read the scriptures every day and try to observe each transcendental word of the Shastras into our daily life. We should generally free ourselves from the concept of sin and lead a saintly life instead. Jai. So, I would like to summarize these offenses, Prabhu. So, first one, we need to focus our mind towards the holy name. That is very, very important. Like Maharaj told, there are few important things we need to cautious, like chant at a time free of disturbance, preferably early in the morning. So early morning chanting is very, very important. We need to make some effort to wake up early in the morning and sit in front of deities, or in a room where four sides, or on the four sides of the walls there must be some pictures of Radha Krishna or Goswamis, or some kind of, so that we can focus, or Guru Maharaj, so that we can focus. And before chanting, we need to calm down, take a deep breath, and before chanting, and then we need to start chanting. And also where we are sitting, and also how we are sitting, also important. Like Maharaj told, bodily positions influences the mind. Therefore, like sitting on a couch in a relaxed manner, definitely we will go into the sleep. So instead of that, we need to sit down. That is highly important. As soon as much as possible, of course, with our diet, health, and etc., we need to take something. And always chanting in front of deities is a very good practice. So also Maharaj Prabhupada also said that before chanting, if you pray our mind, I mean, like if you pray ourselves, that will be great. Like whatever I have done with my body, said with my words, thought with my mind, perceived with my senses, or comprehended with my intelligence, I offer it to the Supreme Lord Narayana. So before chanting, if we offer a prayer, so that it will brings our mind towards the holy name. And next one, appreciating the holy name will because uh, appreciation of the holy name is very, very important, because so that brings us to focus attentively. We can hear our chanting. And also Srila Rupa Goswami stated in the Sri Krishna Namastaka that uh, about the lotus feet of the holy name are constantly worshipped by glittering chain of jewels known as Upanishads. That, and in addition to that, King Parikshit quoted another verse also, the second verse. So glorification of the Supreme Lord, Supreme Personality of Godhead is performed in the parampara system, that is conveyed from spiritual master to disciple. So we need to understand that, and we need to have a strong faith in Guru and Krishna, so that we will get that taste. And next thing, uh, always we need to avoid offenses, which is very, very cautious. Like in other words, those who persons who are no longer interested in their own prize or in the glorification of the material world can glorify the holy name. So avoiding the offenses often is very, very important. Like in the whole day, after chanting also, our day has to be, we need to practice in such a way that we need to avoid all the unwanted things, so that our mind will be fixed. So in that way we can progress in the chanting. That is nothing but living a positive spiritual life, so that it becomes free from offenses. And also Maharaj gave the example from the story. Millipede is dancing very nicely, but that Maya came. I mean, like a letter wrote, and in the letter it is giving lot of things like how you are dancing, what step, etc., etc. But ultimately, it's a Maya. We should not distract all these extra activities. We need to focus whatever we are doing. That is what Maharaj stated. What actually was the matter is called paralysis through analysis. So we are doing analysis on paralysis. So we no need to work about or think about too much on those type of activities. Always one thing we need to do is we need to focus on Krishna, so that one bring us out of Maya. That is very, very important, so that we will uh, we can